out about mail art?
Why do I? Because I made the mistake of being extremely intrigued by a piece of mail that I never should have even gotten in the first place. And I'm in too deep. So last summer, I'm sitting at my friend Mark's house, and the mailman comes, and he leaves a real big, thick package, and we figure, what's in there. And in there is just tons of weird, I guess I shouldn't call them weird, but interesting pieces of art. Pages and pages and pages and pages of art. And collages and poems that don't really make sense. And they've got names on them, like John Bennett, Jim Leftwich. They're dated, numbered. There's something that goes along with these. We should go find out where these people are and what they do and who they are and why they make this stuff.
When we first moved in, my roommates and I, we were getting mail from the old tenants still. We got the package from WM Catastrophe. It was a big manila envelope. It was thick. You can tell there's a lot of papers in it. We were curious. We kind of hoping there was cash in it. So we opened it up and found everything that was in it. I also don't see how much recognition can come from it. You're just sending it to one person. I guess you can kind of spread a message in that way.
So why do it?
I have no idea. I was wondering the same thing.
As children, we're taught to explore through standard channels. Parents, professors, libraries, to take out books and read for answers. But there are no books on mail at the library. The standard sources have failed to deliver, save for one word. Fluxus?
Like Fluxus kind of is like the overbearing structure over all this. And even like mail art isn't particularly Fluxus, or it is. I don't know, it's a lot. But a lot of people that like the Fluxus founders, I guess, or the people that did it heavy in the 60s and the 70s participated in mail art, because a lot of the Fluxus creations, I guess, were really cheap and really mailable, and it was a way for them to communicate, as a sense of correspondence through expression. I don't know. I have no idea what to say. I'm literally so overwhelmed I don't know what to say, because every time I find a definition of Fluxus, the definition says there's no definition. In Fluxus, there's never been an attempt to agree on aims or methods individuals with something unnameable. I don't even know where to look anymore, what to do anymore. I just feel that the only real thing I'll get is from people. In books, everything contradicts the other thing. And it just says, this definition, this isn't the definition, there is no definition, stop looking for a definition. So I just want to hear it from people that do this and get a definition out of that, or not.
Instead of finding a definition, we ended up finding a mail artist in our own backyard. Josh Carter, a senior graphic design student here at our very own Rowan University, runs a website where he can showcase his work to the world. through the mail.
Mailmeart.com is my website where I send free art to people who give me their address. So basically, you come to the website, you fill out your address, I get the email, and I send free art to your house for the low price of free. I've been doing it since like August, so like 7 or 8 months-ish. My goal, I think, would be like to see how many people I could get something out to. That's what I would want to do. Like, how many people can I make something for nothing? If there's like 2 main things that I think I touch upon, and that's like feeling happy and feeling inspired. I think the whole thing happening is sometimes more valuable than the actual pieces. Just sending them out and seeing what could come back, or what people's reactions are, or just having this whole kind of realm of the Mail Me Art stuff going on is, I think that's sometimes more valuable than the art itself. I don't think that because they're quick drawings sometimes, and that they might not be like beautiful, they still have their own character, and they're quirky, and they're neat. So I think they're valuable to me, at least. And hey, if I'm sending it to you for free, that's cool, right?
Meeting Josh Carter was excellent, but who are the artists in the envelope I received? I needed to know that there was something more to these pieces of art that I had. So we drove 6.5 hours to Roanoke, Virginia to find leads on mail art. We were led here by Mr. Jim Leftwich, who we had been in contact with for some time. We were notified that John Bennett, our mail art expert, would be here. Get there early, we can set it for John Bennett, maybe we even meet John Bennett before he goes on, and then hopefully kindly coerce him into an interview post-performance.
What if he doesn't want to talk to us?
We're staying in the same hotel as me, he has no choice.
We're going to see a performance of the B blank consort, experimental simultaneous performance poetry. Often poets involved with the mail art community join in when B blank performs. I wonder why. Mail art's like it's like a print thing, and this is like a vocal thing.
We got my master's there.
Yeah.
And there's a friend of mine, Thomas Love, who's active in mail art.
Can we write that down?
Here as well.
Do you have a? He's here as well.
He's here as well. Also, John Bennett, who
he was my original contact because his name was all over the mail art I found.
Yeah, he is probably one of the biggest players in the scene.
Everyone says that. Is he really?
Yeah, he runs the Avant Writing collection at Ohio State University.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you also have Jim Leftwich here, who he's been active in the mail art.
Do you know any way I could find Jim Leftwich? Because
they will be here.
They will be here,
Yes.
For this
event.
Because I've been having phone contact.
There's Jim Leftwich right
Hello.
now.
Yeah.
You met John Bennett?
I have not met John Bennett.
This is Brian.
John Bennett, Brian Carskool. Nice to finally meet you. That one guy was just talking how John Bennett's one of the biggest players there are in this thing, and Jim Leftwich is also a huge player. And then right as he's saying that, Jim Leftwich walks in. So I'm real pumped.
All right, this is B blank consort, the post-neo fluxus version. All right, let's start. started doing mail art around 1974. I remember, I think. I'm a poet mainly, and my work is not really narrowly defined in a particular kind of language or poetry writing, but I'm interested in how it connects with other kinds of expression and with the culture and society at large. And mail art is a medium to have that kind of contact with other writers and artists and people doing things that I find interesting. Club, nat, gas, nat, leg, nat, ring, nat, half, nat, dog, nat, drain, nat, lug, nat, wrist, nat, sew, nat, sore, nat, climbing, nat, suck, nat, rail, nat, damp, nat, yes, nat, song, nat, shoe, nat, hump, nat, hat, nat, dip, nat, dug, nat, mow, nat, she, nat, peg, nat, door, nat, bill, nat, driver, nat, slung, nat, cool, nat, egg, big, plug, paw, file, diarrhea, bag, walk, seam, net, flung, note, best, loss, drug, rain, saw, fell. Thank you. There's a lot of collaboration done through the mail. As you described some pieces you saw that had lots of different people having worked on them. There's a lot of that kind of thing going on, in addition to one-on-one contact between different artists. Most poetry in English is written with a moral, as they say. It's trying to tell you to do something. What I am totally not interested in that. That what I write should be regarded as a kind of mirror, and the audience or reader looks at that and sees themselves. And so there is no definitive interpretation, there's no message, none of that stuff except what you happen to see in it. To me, mail art is not something that has a particular content. It's a container that you can put anything into. Soon I suffered scuttling, napped across the kitchen table where the forks were laughing and your hands brimmed with sand. The ceiling light rain, dust and gnats. My glasses swam into your plate of olives. Your cabinet full of stingray spines. I wakened with a stone between my lips.
Yeah, for me, sometime in 2007, I was living in New Brunswick as well as Warren and Old Carlinson, and I went over to their house and I'm like, what's all this junk on the table? It was like photocopies of like a skeleton and then like a woman and random stuff. And it's like, oh, it's this guy Jim Leftwich in Virginia. He sends all this stuff around, collages and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I just started mailing back and forth with Jim. But Warren and Old Car also hosted these soirees at their apartment where people would show up and then 5, 6, 7 people would start working on a collage and they would all contribute to it, and eventually Warren or Olcar or someone would mail that over to somebody else, whether it be John Bennett or Jim.
Mail art's not really about art. It's really about exchanging ideas and information and activating connections and getting like-minded people to be aware of each other.
Certainly one of the motivations behind at least some aspects of mail art is the fact that its early intention was to have contact, to have everything shown, to have some kind of documentation when things are shown so that everybody gets a list of names. So it was very much about this networking, and it was not so much about the kind of recognition you get if you're in a gallery or a museum show or something like that. mail art, a lot of what's involved in mail art is that interaction with people and that networking. So, I mean, I will, if there's a show that I send something to and it has a theme, oftentimes I may look for a kind of humorous solution to it that you could see maybe has a relationship to some of the things that I do in performance. But I don't send work necessarily to people with a message in it in that sense. And my intention usually is just to be able to keep that dialogue going on, that, you know, if something comes back from them at some point.
So anyway, we just had an interview with Jim Leftwich. I guess this is his, she wants us to park here. This is his house. 525, is that what she said? He invited us here.
The people who are involved in it, we're not so much jaded as, I mean, everybody has their own opinions and perspectives and stuff, you know, that's been developed from doing it. Mm-hmm. And some of it's a little predictable, you know, how the people who are who are actually involved in making the network what it is, how they're going to think about it, how we're going to think about it. So it's really nice, you know, to listen to you guys, you know, talk about encountering it and trying to figure it out and try to interact with it. And I was trying to think earlier this morning about between the various different intersecting networks, how many people that I've personally been in contact with, and it's, I don't, you know, a couple thousand. What you have to do in order to be involved is decide to be involved.
That's it.
That's what you have to do. And if you decide to be involved, then, you know, finding the addresses and stuff is not difficult at this point.
Yeah.
Much more comfortable doing things like this and having little festivals and, you know, and you know, where any of it goes, you know, once you make something, you let it out of your hands, you don't really know what's going to happen, you know, and you want to make things, whether they be poems or collages or whatever, that are going to be engaging for other people, in one of several possible ways. Mainly the notion is to get people to say, I want to do this too. You know, that's the main message. You guys might enjoy this.
Gum bag for Jim Leftwich.
I actually got this particular item from Andrew with the gum. And this was an interactive object that we put out at a festival about 3 years ago, and it was nothing but the box and these rolls. Wow. And people just started working on it and doing, you know, writing on it, and, you know, I'm not a bad example of the Fluxus attitude. Mm-hmm. You know, very, very playful.
Yeah.
There's not really much of a sense of doing this kind of work to try to create an audience or to try to create any kind of institutional context. You know, the idea is that if people understand this kind of thing, then they will want to do it too. And if they actually don't want to do it, then at some level they don't really understand why it's being done in the first place. It's not any kind of popularity contest, you know. It's about getting people to activate this way of thinking, this way of behaving, not as a way of producing art, but as a way of changing daily life, and changing perceptions and changing the patterns that people think in. And so the potential for people interacting in different ways. You know, the openness of artwork is really about the openness of people interacting. You know, that's much, much more important than whatever object or poem or whatever gets people to that point.
So we're going over the footage of the shoot we had in Roanoke, Virginia, and a name kept popping up. Like when we were talking to people and interviewing, like one in particular we had coming from Tomislav Butkovic.
People know that that's what's happening.
Right here.
But then you have other people, such as Mark Sonnenfeld in New Jersey.
Sonnenfeld, and he's in Jersey, we're in Jersey. So I figured I'd look him up. I found him on this website, New Mystics, and he's an experimental writer and collaborator. And Tomislav went on to talk about...
Near Trenton. And he publishes...
He's like a writer-ish type of person, but apparently he only really communicates through mail, like with his address. And Tomislav sent his address, and he found his address in the computer, so we figured we'd find his house, and tomorrow we'd go check it out and knock on his door and see if he's there. Second knock's always the easiest. Leaving a note. We figured we'd stake out his apartment, and he's not here still. And we asked his neighbor who he was, and all we know is he wears a hat. So we're gonna head back to Glassboro and regroup. So I got the stamps, it was $2.12, and we're mailing stuff to Jim because we went to his house. He had a lot of really cool stuff, and before we left, he kind of implored that we sent in some stuff. So we all, everyone in the crew, made some stuff, obviously, and we're gonna mail it over to him.
So Mark Sonnenfeld finally got in contact with us. He'd been intrigued by the note that we left him and wanted to meet.
Writing, publishing, collaborating. I do audio collages on cassette, line-by-line collaborations, you know, in print. I started Mary Mark Press about 1994, and that was my vehicle to publish. And I got into mail art, I guess through the people that wrote poetry, they also did the mail art. I was exposed to that, which I embraced. You know, I think it's cool. It's free, and there's not a lot of criticism with that. You know, you just do it, and it's there for people to see and to jump on board if they care to, you know, and that's the story, basically. I've been doing this since 1994, so that's, what, 18 years. Let me show you, this is one of my distribution books. This is number 13, okay? So there's 12 others, and this is all my contacts, okay? It's a lot of people that I met over the years, and this is like a way for me to, you know, to catalog who I give to, what I give to them. This is your note, as a matter of fact. See, I even made a copy of your letter to me. Is that you? Oh, no, that's not you, but you are in here. Here you are.
Oh.
See that? So I wanted your number. And so this went to Mexico, Italy, England, North Carolina, all over the world.
And you just keep going?
I just keep going, baby.
Is that also one of them?
What's that?
This right there, or is that something else? Or?
This book is my reading book. When I go to a place and read in the city, I'll bring poems I like reading in public.
Mm-hmm.
So when I want to read something that I read before, that I know how to read well, and, you know, I know the timing and the cadence and all that, I'll take this book. It's like if you have a piece of writing, it's one-dimensional. You read it, your imagination picks up, you know, but when it's something you hear, it takes on a whole nother dimension.
Here, family hour, quarantine, some familiar techniques, wrist shoe up, cigarette, alternative, and worms down in the doing, hatch up, removal, filter, heel.
Anyone discuss the count discussion? Awesome. God, 36 range and no surprise. All ice run breath. For dense, effective IV. Guitar feed will. Angel making this looking at past devisors odd hood is chord Q4.
I just embrace all this stuff, and it's just like such a cool way to express yourself and forget about the crazy world for a while and just do something that's in your heart, and, you know, you really that you really believe in, and that you feel is actually going someplace. It might even be something in a museum, you know, one day, you know, this kind of activity, you know, not me, but the whole group, you know, that are doing these things in this time that we're in now. Where it ends up, and for every one of us, what's going to happen in 50 years? I mean, you're not going to be here probably, maybe not. Yeah. Or 100 years, how about that? Definitely 100 years. That's a long time away. And what happens, happens. What you did here when you were alive, you did, and, you know, you left your mark, and, you know, you move on, and someone else picks up on that. Like the Beat Generation, they were doing their thing, and now they're kind of revered, you know, like, wow, all this stuff, you know, they traveled and wrote these crazy books and had these readings, you know, and that's all gone. That whole thing is gone. It's never coming back. Never. And this ain't never coming back in 100 years, what we're doing now. You know, does that make any sense? If you have that rhythm, if you're on this frequency, and so many people aren't, I know they aren't, but if you actually find something about what I'm doing that you pick up on, you know, the real deal, on like the true meaning of what I'm doing, all this activity, you telepathically might connect on some level. And if that level is artistic, where they do their thing, it could be music, it could be photography, writing, novel writing, you know, fiction writing, whatever, you know, you have a synergy, you know, and
And so the two parts as a whole are greater than the two parts by themselves.
This is really cool, really. The fact that we can come in this not knowing anyone at all, and just getting mail that we weren't supposed to get, and researching and having people nice enough to not only talk to us, to invite us to things, to invite us to their homes on multiple occasions. Coming in as an outsider, like not knowing anything about really art in general, much less mail art or neo anything, and now being a part of this. Like rather than just like finding things out and finding out who artists are, on the inside, making art with artists, getting art from artists. I guess now being an artist. And that's